The midterms are approaching fast, and I wanted to remind Democrats that there's actually a way to fight and win, and we're currently in the midst of watching a candidate nearly pull off the impossible. Richard Ojeda from West Virginia is running against Republican Carol Miller. He's in a district that Donald Trump won by 49 points, and he is pretty much even with Carol Miller. Some polls have Ojeda up a little bit, some polls have Ojeda down a little bit, but it's right around 50-50. So if the Democrats manage to knock off a plus 49 GOP district, what we have here is a force. What we have here is as close as you can get to a silver bullet in politics, where this message resonates everywhere, where we're seriously talking about a 50-state strategy if this ends up working. And it's close. It's super close. Again, plus 49 GOP districts, so honestly, it's a miracle if Ojeda pulls this off. But he's very close to doing it. Now, I want to remind you about Richard Ojeda. I referenced him when I was on Joe Rogan's podcast. Nobody gets a better response than Richard Ojeda. Everybody seems to love the guy. But let's take a look at some of his greatest hits here, and then we'll talk more about it.
I'm Richard Ojeda. Drug companies have made millions pouring their opioids into our communities, ripping apart our families. What has Carol Miller done? She's accepted campaign cash from the very same companies responsible. She's even profiting from this epidemic, an epidemic that has killed thousands of West Virginians. She actually owns stock in one of the companies responsible for it all, McKesson. I approve this message because Carol Miller's not going to fight this opioid epidemic, but I will. I'm Richard Ojeda. One huge drug company, McKesson, has dumped over 5 million pain pills onto a small pharmacy right here in Logan County alone. And they've made millions off of pushing their pain pills. They get away with this because they grease the pockets of the members of Congress. But make no mistake about it, I don't want their money. They need not darken my doorstep. And I will have no problems throwing drug company lobbyists out of my office. I approve this message because I'm sick and tired of watching our politicians sell us out. I'm Richard Ojeda, and people say that I'm angry. Well, angry is an understatement. When I come home and I find that I got children in my backyard that have it worse than the kids that I saw in Iraq and Afghanistan, I can't accept that. When I see companies using bankruptcy loopholes to keep from paying our coal miners the pensions that they work for, I will not sit quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been sold out. We've been sold out by people like Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, and the Washington insiders. I approve this message because I am angry and I'm ready to fight back.
How are you going to fight to get money out of politics? Because that's why we have the Carol Millers of the world that just sit up in their castles and take all the money and corruption and raise all that money and then do favors for those guys. How do you fight to get money out of politics?
Well, number one, we need to overturn Citizens United. That's number one. And number two, have the courage to point people out. You know, I don't want someone to sit and say that they're going to fight the opioid epidemic. I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, Independent. If they're taking money from big Pfizer, or not big Pfizer, but big pharma, then they're part of the problem. You know, people have to understand. If it was up to me, I'd put a body camera on every single lobbyist that walks into every office. I think that the people deserve the right to see what truly goes on behind the scenes as well.
God damn, I love that. I had never thought of that. What an unbelievable idea to put a body camera on not just the cops, but on the lobbyists. Okay.
And let every single person be able to tune in and check out who visits each and every one of their senators, their congressmen.
Yeah, I never thought of that idea either. And it's fucking genius. That is brilliant. Why not pass a law that says that? Why not pass a law that says we need body cameras on lobbyists, and every time that they meet with government officials to discuss issues, we see what's happening? Think about it. We have C-SPAN and C-SPAN 2 and C-SPAN 3, and that's like, okay, obviously everybody needs to see what their government is doing with their money in their name. These are your representatives. They're supposed to represent you, so you're going to be able to see them in action when they're voting, when they're debating issues that are important and they impact your life. That's what C-SPAN's all about. Why wouldn't we have the lobbyist network? where every time a lobbyist meets with a politician, they have to wear a body camera and you're able to watch it. Do you have any idea how quickly that would cut back on corruption in our system? What a brilliant idea, Richard Ojeda. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's awesome. This is why we love Richard Ojeda. So, listen, he's anti-corruption, anti-lobbyist, anti-establishment, because he called out Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi. He's pro-worker. He's pro-union. I mean, this is why in a plus 49 GOP district, he's tied. Made up a 49-point gap, man. Think about that. And listen, I just want to be clear about something. He's the best example, but there are a lot of awesome populist left candidates all around the country. And, you know, if you're listening to this and you care about politics, and I know all of you do, take a moment to either go to the Justice Democrats website, go to the Our Revolution website, or just go to try your best to figure out who's running in your district and in your state, because there are a lot of good candidates that are running. And just because they don't necessarily get the most of the spotlight, you know, I can only do so many stories in one day, so it's hard for me to cover everything and everybody who's running. There's a lot of wonderful candidates around the country that haven't even gotten the fucking mention on this show. In fact, when I was at Politicon, people were giving me flyers and stuff. Hey, talk about this issue, talk about that issue. I'll never be able to get to all of it, but there was like a public banking one that people handed to me. Here's another one. I never heard of this candidate, and this candidate's awesome. She's in the district in California next to Amar Kempa-Najjar. Her name's Julia Peacock. She's a teacher, and she's running for Congress. She's for environmental protections and clean energy jobs, a path to citizenship for law-abiding undocumented immigrants and dreamers, common sense gun reform, single-payer health care, workers' rights, sick time and benefits, and a living wage, equal pay for equal work. Let's fund Medicare, Social Security, and seniors. And look, this is one candidate, and I feel bad because I there's no way I would ever be able to cover all of the different awesome candidates that are running in this upcoming election. But listen, guys, there are potentially Richard Ojedas in your district and in your state. So take a minute, do some research, see who that person is or who the person that's closest to Richard Ojeda is in your race, and then get out there and vote. Or even, you know, whatever, donate $10 or $27 like the Bernie Sanders number. I'll leave the Richard Ojeda link in the video description box if you want to donate to him. I'll leave the Julia Peacock website there. If you go to her website, you could probably, also see if she has fundraising that can be done as well. So let's get it, man. We're finally at the point where we're having a serious impact on our politics. The fact that there were 4 politicians in the House of Representatives that didn't take corporate PAC money, and now there's going to be 40. You want to know why that is? Because we forced them to that position. Now, some people accurately point out, well, that's not the whole picture. Corporate PAC money is just a piece of the puzzle. You're right. That's not the whole picture. Corporate PAC money is just a piece of the puzzle. But that's also a big piece of the puzzle, and let's take a victory when we get one. Let's take a W when we get one. That there were 4 politicians not taking corporate PAC money, now there's going to be 40 or more. That's nothing but a giant win for the populist left, and let's acknowledge it for what it is. The next step is, all right, stop taking corporate PAC money, and also stop these big money fundraisers. What we need to do is try to push all these politicians to small dollar donations as their primary and sole source of funding. Now, it's a lot of politicians struggle to get to that point because it's hard to make up the difference, to be honest. Like, if you stop taking all corporate PAC money and you stop doing those, big money fundraisers, well, it's really hard to be in the running and raise enough money when you're just taking money $5 at a time, $10 at a time, $27 at a time. But the reason why that's so important is that we know that that's the way that they're not corrupt. We know that they'll represent you if they are taking the small dollar money. So the small dollar donations. So yes, corporate PAC, having politicians off of corporate PAC money is not the end all be all, but it is a giant win. And we got to take that win when we get it. And we have it. So 4, it's going to be over 40. The whole plan should be get the entire Democratic Party off of corporate PAC money and get the entire Democratic Party on small dollar donations. And at the very least, we create a Justice Democrats caucus, a populist left caucus, where at the very least they don't take corporate PAC money and don't take big donor money. So That's our goal. That's what we're fighting for. And we're going to win. It's just going to take time, man. There's still 26 Justice Democrats in the running. Our revolution has about a 50% win rate. PCCC, same thing. I think 67% win rate for PCCC. So listen, it's not all going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of boots on the ground, a lot of fighting, a lot of phone calls, we're going to run into a lot of establishment hurdles that they put in our way, but we got to keep fighting, and we keep fighting on, and we don't stop until we win. So, we've seen a lot of giant gains in the right direction, and we're on the brink of having a lot of gigantic wins. So let's do it, man. Let's do it. And now we're given the option of populist left. So let's not miss out on that. Let's keep fighting and let's get it done. And just take a look in your own districts to see who your Richard Ojeda is.